Whether it's a brightly colored cupcake or a pretty painted sugar cookie, it's the frosting that grabs our attention and our taste buds. And all it takes to steal the spotlight is the right piping technique. Our favorite cookie queen, Georganne Bell, is here to give us a few pointers. Georganne, where do people go wrong with frosting? Why can we not do this?
To be honest, I don't think you can really go too far wrong with frosting. It's frosting.
Right? Sugar, butter, how do you go wrong with frosting?
Exactly.
Okay, well, I actually have to tell you that I do have one way you can go wrong, because my son, when he was turning 5, I made these cupcakes for his birthday. And didn't even think about this. I'm trying to make them into like Darth Vader cupcakes. I set them out, I frost them, leave them, they were hot, and then the frosting was all melted. But we just said, I was like, oh, sorry, the stormtroopers came. They got to these before we could eat them. Sorry, kids. They loved it. So, okay, these are so cute.
The two things that I encourage people to look at with frosting, though, are colors and texture. Obviously, colors, you can go anywhere, but don't be afraid to go dark or bright or surprising colors. When you pour the food coloring straight out of the bottle into the frosting, it's gonna be kind of a flat color. But anytime you mix more than one of those food colorings together, it's gonna give you a more rich color. For example, this is actually blue and purple mixed together, which makes it dark without having to add a bunch of food coloring.
And it's such a rich color, you're right. Yeah. I think we all hesitate, like, oh, if you want pink, you put 2 drops of red into 10 cups of frosting.
Even like the orange, it's pink and yellow mixed together versus a straight orange. And the yellow, I mixed just a little bit of orange into it. It just gives it a more depth of color,
and
which is
kind
super
of
fun.
This mustard color, which is really
so
fun
on trend right now.
Yeah, yes. So on trend. Are you using standard kind of grocery store colors, or where are you getting your colors?
They're a food gel color, which now grocery stores are starting to carry them instead of just like the liquid color. So you want a gel coloring because it's thicker.
Okay.
And the other thing I tell people is just texture, vary the texture. Like the different patterns and everything, it just brings it, it's more exciting, and which is always more appetizing.
It really does. When you see the display of it, it kind of just makes it really does pop.
Yeah.
Just having those different textures.
And it's basically all the same technique, we just use different piping tips.
Okay, I love that. So anything we have to do before we like load the bags with frosting?
Yeah, the one thing, no matter if you're using royal icing or buttercream or whatever it is, consistency is always gonna be the key to good frosting creations. Okay. With this, you wanna make sure it's thick enough that it's not gonna melt into a puddle.
People take notes.
So what I do is I'll stir it up in a bowl and then make sure when I pull the knife out, the frosting is gonna stand up into a peak, a soft peak or a stiff peak, but then you know it's not gonna melt back onto itself. If you look at these cupcakes here, see how they didn't go anywhere once I piped it. But if it's too thin, then it's gonna kind of melt. If you're buying a frosting from the grocery store, totally fine. Maybe just add a little bit of powdered sugar to it before you put it in a piping bag.
Because those are usually a little bit too soft.
Yeah, because they're for spreading versus like piping designs, but you can still do these, just add a little bit of powdered sugar to it first.
Awesome. Okay, and then you have 4 tips that you say can make kind of all of these creations.
If you were to only buy 4 tips in the entire world, these are the ones.
This is how we limit ourselves. This is how we cut it down. Okay.
So the very first one is the circle tip. Self-explanatory, it's a circle. It's super simple.
Elementary.
Yeah, and we're just gonna pipe a swirl on top of the cupcake here.
And this is a pretty big size. I mean, you're not looking at like a tiny pinpoint
and they make them tiny and they make them big. But
so if you're going for one, do you suggest the big one?
I would. If you're doing cupcakes, bigger is better, right? Who doesn't love more frosting? Okay. So I'm gonna start on the outside and just pipe a circle. And you can do it in different layers. I like to do it like 1 layer here, and then I'll add another layer on top to give it more dimension. Like that, and then it looks like the soft serve ice cream cone.
Taste. Yeah, that really does. And it has that softness to it, kind of that gooiness.
And with this tip, I just wanted to show that you can also do, you can do fun, different patterns as well. If you're just doing dots, you can do on top of a cupcake or a cookie as well.
So think of it, use it for more than one purpose. And that really is fun. It looks like little Hershey Kisses or something.
Yeah. And then, so the next one is a star tip. And there's a couple of different kinds of star tips. Just anything that's zigzaggy at the top is good enough. So we're gonna...
But again, this is kind of a bigger one for the cupcakes, for the cake, knowing that this is kind of the main decoration.
Right, and I mean, who doesn't love more frosting, again? So we're gonna do the same thing here where we go around in a circle. Just a swirl like that, and then you can leave it like that if that's all the frosting you want, or you can add another layer on top, just like that. And this one is also fun here with the individual ones. It kind of looks like hydrangeas.
Oh,
you can do these all over.
And that's it's so fun because this is simple, almost as simple as just getting out a knife. I mean, if you were...
It's actually faster to do it in a bag than it would be with a knife and to do the different designs.
Yeah, just make yourself take a deep breath and say, I am going to try this because this isn't too bad.
And the worst thing that happens, you can scrape it off and put it back in your bag. So really,
or in your mouth. Either way. Either way.
I like the way you think. So this is a French tip here. It's kind of a mix between the circle tip and the star tip, which gives it surprise. And I'll show you. How about that?
Yeah,
a surprising look to it. So as always, I do the circle
look at
first.
This. Such a fun texture on there.
And then another layer here.
Wow, and that really does. It's funny because you think it will come out a little like this, but it's
so different still.
Its own.
And then with the cookie, if you're just going to do the individual dots, and you can do these as a straight border on a cake. No, it doesn't have to just be cupcakes or a cookie, but that one's. And you can add more layers onto it as well.
Oh, look at that. And so you can, I mean, if you're doing even a small cake, a birthday cake or something, you could use these for those.
Yeah, you could use these for all the borders, all of these as well. So this one is the fourth tip. It's a petal tip. You can use it to make roses or flowers. We're not going to do the swirl with this one. We're actually just going to make a little flower.
Okay.
Which
I love the look of this, like how it's turned out on
and
the
it's
other piece.
surprisingly more simple to make than you think.
Intimidating,
it's just a series of going in and out on the cupcake.
Okay.
The key to it though is you can see that these petal tips have a thicker side and a thinner side, and you want to keep the thick side to almost touching the cookie or the cupcake here. So we're just going in and out.
Oh, okay. So it's really a squiggly line as you turn.
Yeah, we're just going to keep rotating it. And you can either stop here and add a new layer on, or you can just kind of keep going in a pattern and you want to kind of...
That is so pretty. Look at that. Lovely.
There we go.
Oh, it's so pretty, and the color combination is so fun. And then would you do the same thing on the cookie?
Yeah, pretty much. So again, sometime if you want, you can add more frosting to the middle as well before you start to kind of give it a base layer. We're just going to go in and out with it. It seems complicated, but it really is just a series of in and out. And if you want to do it individually, like if it's stressing you out to think about it all at once, just do one shape.
That's good. Baby steps, people. Baby steps to these beautiful cookies. Where can people find more tips?
You can find me online at www.lilaloa.com, or I also have a cookie decorating book called The Cookie Companion, sold pretty much everywhere that books are sold.
Yes, I have one, and it's an amazing companion. Thank you so much, Georganne.
Thank you, Emily.
We'll post Georganne's tutorial on our website, so you can dial it up next time you break out the frosting. Go to studio5.ksl.com and click on the recipe button.